Hi, Tony here, welcome back to the channel, and I'm on a bike that I've been itching to ride for quite some time. When the 790 Adventure was introduced, I was a little bit sort of underwhelmed. Something didn't look kind of quite right about it. When I saw the R, straight away my interest was spiked. Obviously there's more kit on this bike which is geared towards off-road riding, but I'm hoping that that will make it a better all-round bike as well. So let's start with the ergonomics of the bike, and the one thing you'll notice straight away when you swing your leg over it is that it is a tall bike. The seat height is 880 millimeters, but it's a very commanding position. You do sit up high, you sit on top of the bike as opposed to in the bike, which is what happens with a lot of other adventure bikes. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but on this you're certainly up on it, and it gives you much more space to move around, both off-road and obviously changing position when on-road. It's uncluttered in front of you, there's very little going on. You've got an excellent TFT screen with all the information that you need. There's a 12-volt power point. On this side you've just got the kill switch. On this side are your controls, and they've limited that to 4 buttons for the main controls, a horn, your indicators and your main beam flusher. So nice and compact, not a lot going on in front of you, which is really good. Bars are really nice and wide, good leverage. You know, they're a nice distance away from you. You've got a little arm bend in them, so even if you push yourself back in the seat you don't feel like you're reaching for the bars. And the risers for the bars are adjustable, so built into the bike on the top clamp you've got 3 positions, so you can move those forward and backwards, and you can also rotate the risers as well to give you a slightly different angle. The hand guards are good, soft plastic, so there's a centre harder, they're all plastic, but there's a centre bar through the middle here which gives protection, and the top's nice and soft, so if you do fall or hit stuff it's just going to spring back. The one thing I don't like, which seems to happen on all the KTMs, is they put these mirrors on, the round mirrors that look like parts bin specials. The vision from them is actually pretty good, but I'm not a big fan of the look of them. But I'm guessing that most people that are picking this bike up are probably going to look to get some foldable ones for some serious off-road use. I would probably put tear-shaped ones on. I'm just not a big fan of round mirrors, but in terms of practicalities, vision, it's good. The foot base in a nice position, spiked metal pegs with a rubber insert, so again my bike I'd take that rubber insert out. Woo! And I'd be quite happy to take those out because I'm not really getting much in the way of vibrations from this motor. So this is the same motor as the 790 Duke and the 790 Adventure. It's just been detuned very slightly, or it's a different tune should I say. Detune's not the right word. There's a different tune on this bike. Just eases that top end power out a little bit, but gives you more usable torque lower down. But it's not as if this bike is a slouch. It equates to around about 93, 94 horsepower, but when the bike's only 200 kilos fully fueled up, that's more than enough, and this thing will heam along at a really good lick. There's also been a lot said about this screen. I know some other reviewers have said it's a terrible screen for buffeting, it's the worst screen they've ever experienced. I didn't think it was too bad, to be honest. Obviously when you're riding off-road you want more airflow and good visibility, so that's why they put these short screens on there. And there is an option to put a taller touring screen on there, so it'd be interesting to see what that's like. For me, in reality, it's not too bad. It can be put into 2 different positions. So at the moment, it's in its highest position, but you can't do it on the fly because you have to undo that star bolt. And then there's 2 positions that you can put it. So this is its higher one, and the lower one, it sort of comes down to about here. Now, there doesn't appear to be much difference between the 2. One other thing, of course, you could do is you could just undo that and take this off completely. Then you're just left with this small fly screen. And actually, without the screen, it's pretty good. The only issue you've got is the little fixings to go in the front, but I'm sure somebody with a 3D printer can make a very neat little plastic cover that goes over the top of that. But there she is. And I think even if you're not a fan of orange, which I'm not particularly, the proportions of this bike are just right. KTM have got it spot on, I think. It's kind of quite squat looking. One thing that is clever is these fuel tanks. They put the fuel tanks here, down here very low. So the centre of gravity, I've just filled this up with fuel, so it is fully laden. And all of the weight sits right down here. And they can do that because this parallel twin motor is so small and slim that they've got the ability to do that. So you do notice, although it is a tall bike, you haven't got loads of fuel sitting up here that makes it feel top heavy. This is fitted with Metzeler Karoo 3 tyres, which I found to be excellent on tarmac. Pretty good in the rough stuff. I haven't yet tried them in the wet, but so far I've been pretty impressed with them. I don't feel like I'm having to hold back at all on tarmac with it. Nice big beefy fully adjustable suspension front and rear, and that's one of the reasons why I like the Adventure R over the standard Adventure, is that componentry is much better, much more adjustability, much better shocks, and overall I think a nicer looking bike.
Now, one of the things I really like about this bike is the fact that there isn't anything on it that doesn't need to be on it. KTM have stripped everything back to the bare essentials, but there is some really interesting thought that's gone into this. One thing that I've found is some storage in these side pods. So if you pop the seat off, you can see this side panel here, a couple of little clips at the front. Pop that out, slide it forward, and there's a very sneaky, handy little storage compartment inside there. So you could put a plug kit and a compressor, or if you're traveling, you want to pack documents and stuff away, then that's a really handy place to do that. It's just utilizing the space on the bike, not adding any extra bulk, and there's one of these on both sides, so a really nice little touch there.
Now, one of the things I was interested in looking at on this bike was to work out if it could be used as an all-round bike. So the type of riding I do around here, scratching around the lanes, perfect. It gives me the ability to go further off-road, although to be honest I'm a little bit limited in this part of the world as to what I can do there. But also I think it's because of the luggage options, you know, you can get a rack that goes on the side. SW Motec do one, the same one as I've got on my Tiger, that clips on and off, so it doesn't have to be on there permanently. You can put a top box on there, and with the luggage I think it would make a great touring machine. Maybe you'd want to put the taller screen on if you're going to be doing a lot of road work. I'd just maybe get rid of some of the orange. Okay, let's get back out on the road. Now, one other reason that I choose this over the Adventure is it comes as standard with a quick shifter, up and down, and so far it's worked faultlessly. So I've shown you very briefly the suspension. What is it like in practice? Well, it is, I think, really nicely set up. I haven't played around with it at all. I weigh 200 pounds, maybe a bit more than that now since lockdown. When you first get on the bike it feels quite firm, but it's very pliable, very plush, without being soft. I think it's a really good balance. So even if, I've just got to check there's no cars behind me, so even if I was going to have a grab at the brakes, there's not very much dive in the front end. It's just a really nicely balanced machine. I'm recording this at the beginning of July, and currently you can buy this bike from a dealer for $10,999 on the road. So at that price I think it's a really good deal. But everything just feels purposeful. It does exactly what it needs to do. It feels robust. Now, if you've come to this video looking for the type of content I've seen on other 790R videos of smashing up rocky trails and hills, well, you're going to be a little bit disappointed, because this is East Anglia and we're a bit short of that. The best I can do is a few gravel tracks and green lanes, which is where I do a lot of my riding. Now, most adventure bikes are going to be able to cope with this, obviously, but it's just interesting to take this through here and show you what it's like. And again, the Metzeler Karoo 3 tyres are perfect for this kind of terrain. Work really well on the gravel. This is the closest I can get to some wilderness trails here in East Anglia. This is still pretty bumpy down here, and I'm sitting down and the bike is dealing with that with no problems whatsoever, which is what you'd expect. Thank you. I've not been down this way for a while. Might be a little bit overgrown and a little bit rutted. You can see there's the trail there where the 4x4s go off to the side, and in the winter this is just a river of mud. But it does bring you out onto a beautiful open stretch here, open countryside, and this bike is just lapping this up. I've even found a family of cyclists to overtake. This could be interesting. Thank you. Cheers, guys. Now I'll go easy because I think I saw, yeah, some more up here. So there you go, nothing too gnarly, but you know, my abilities are not in off-road riding. That's fun for me to come and steam through there. Just a bit unfortunate we had quite a few cyclists to hold us up there. I would love to get hold of one of these and get some more footage out there of riding around, do some more touring, go through some of the options and sort of personalise the bike. If that's the sort of thing you think you'd like to see on the channel, then let me know in the comment section down below. The more I ride this bike and the more I'm getting used to it, the more I'm loving it. It's quick enough, it's light, it's agile. You've still got the ability, there was another byway there, you've still got the ability to tour on it with the luggage. Yeah, loose gravel here, not as rutted as the last place. But this bike just floats over it. Whoa, even there. Gets a bit softer there. But the good thing is, compared to some of the heavier adventure bikes, if things do go a bit wrong, or you get a bit crossed up, or you start to lose direction, on a bike like this, which is much lighter, it's so much easier to bring it back under control. This is a great little motor, nice and compact, still gives a punch. I think this is even possibly lighter than the Tenere 700, which I'll have to check. Which again, considering the amount of tech and bits and pieces that they've put into this, it's good, and it makes that price tag, you know, 11 grand is not cheap for any bike in reality, but for what you get for the money, I think it's pretty damn good. It is just so flickable, manoeuvrable. There's a very professionally done number plate on that trailer. Now the other consideration with regards to its off-road capabilities and the weight of the bike and everything else is the psychological difference that can have on you as a rider. Now that bit of road that I just came down was not too bad. Had I been on a bigger, heavier bike, would I have felt as confident going down there? I'll have the off-road guys laughing at me. But going down there on this bike made me think, you know, this bike is capable, it's just me that has to deal with it. I'm not saying other adventure bikes are not capable enough to do that, and I think the influence on your confidence on the bike will make a big difference to how you ride it. It certainly spurred me on to learn a little bit more. It's just such a confidence inspiring bike. Really easy to ride, not intimidating, and when you see a dirt track you think, you know what, whatever this is going to throw at me, certainly in this part of the world, this bike should deal with it, and that I think is a really key point not to overlook. Now, has the bike got any foibles? Well, I'm sure I'll find them as I continue to ride it longer. As I've said, I'm not a big fan on these wing mirrors. There's some interesting things that were pointed out to me. The fuel gauge, for example, only starts reading from a half a tank. Now because those tanks are long and extended and drop down low to give you that lower center of gravity, which is a really good thing. I think KTM had issues in terms of getting a sender to be able to give you a reading for the whole of the tank. So at the moment it looks like the tank is full, but it only starts registering your fuel when you get below half empty. So not a problem as long as you remember that that's the case.
I think it's very apparent how much I enjoyed riding this bike, and there was obviously a lot of detail that I wanted to squeeze into this video, and there's some areas which I haven't covered, so I'll actually put out a couple of other videos just to cover off some details like the electronics and the dash and stuff like that. But I hope you found this video useful. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any comments or questions, you know where to leave those in the comment section down below. And until next time, all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I will see you soon. Bye.